store?
I think as far as famous, you could say I'm famous for my Asian chicken wings. They are the one dish that everybody in my family asks for at every single occasion. Probably second only to my smoked cream cheese. You know, there's always that saying, the way to a man's heart's through his stomach. But at the same point in time, I think food brings everybody together. It doesn't matter the culture, the ethnicity, your religious or political background. Food just brings everybody, can bring everybody together. And I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in others, you know. And so, you know, I thought of a way kind of to get into the story of how to bring people together as a whole. And, you know, the easiest way for me was through seasonings. And I really, really enjoyed cooking. I was, you know, would see how, you know, even just cooking around the house and making some things, and, you know, my mom or my dad would try something like, oh man, that's really good. So I really wanted to go into culinary arts when I was a kid. Well, eventually what ended up happening was I ended up kicking my dad off the grill. He made the mistake one day of letting me take over the grill. I'd been watching, you know, Bobby Flay cook and grill, and my dad always made hockey pucks instead of hamburgers. And so I'll never forget it. I'm sitting there, you know, he's like, hey, watch the grill. I'm 14, 15 years old, maybe 16 at the oldest. And my mom liked all of her stuff well done. So that's kind of where the hockey pucks came into place. But when she bit into that burger that I had done, and the juices just ran down her elbow and dripped on her plate, she looked at my dad and goes, Jan, you're fired. Josh, you command the grill from now on. So how I got into grilling Geek spices, we have to go back about, I want to say almost 15 years now. My mom announced to the world that she had cancer. She had been battling cancer for over 20 years. And so she loved me cooking for her. I absolutely, her and my dad, you know, aside from my family, they were two of my favorite people to cook for. So when she announced to the world that she had cancer, she had actually just gone in remission. It was a birthday, and she asked me to cook for everybody. And towards the end of the party, one of their friends came up to me and goes, man, what is in this shaker? And he's holding a shaker of a seasoning that I created myself. He goes, well, if you don't figure out a way to bottle this and sell it, I'm going to steal it from you. And so that planted the seed. Then a couple years later, I lost my job. And a buddy of mine, neighbor of mine, who I cooked for all the time, he was like, hey man, why don't you just come to a networking event here in Annapolis and just talk to people? I had no logo, no real name, nothing. And so talking it over and, you know, grilling Geek, because I love to grill and I work in IT, you know, aside from the fact that I'm a Star Wars geek too.
Yeah.
But, you know, and so that's kind of how it was born. I went to the networking event. I had no cards, like I said, no logo, and I just started talking to people, and people were very interested. And so the following month, I came back. I had a small logo. I had some business cards. Started passing them out. People were like, "Hey, what do you have?" And so, not this lineup, but I had a completely different lineup at the time. People really liked it, and I would sit at home in my kitchen with a big, huge steel bowl and a stainless steel whisk, and I'd mix up batches of seasonings and sell them to people. I've, you know, even back then, you know, I was selling, you know, probably like 10 ounces at a time. Kind of felt like a drug dealer walking into these places, because you got these little clear Ziploc baggies of seasonings, and some of them are all green. The white label guys or the private labels are the ones that you buy their seasonings and then you turn around and sell it. These are actually my recipes. Gotcha. So some of these like are, it's now called What the Hog. That's a 20-year-old recipe that I worked on. And What the Beef, you know, all of these I developed in my house. I call it the research and development kitchen, which is actually me just feeding my family. And that's kind of how a lot of these were made. So I give that off to a co-packer. They mix it for me. They buy all the ingredients and then they mix it together, put it in a bottle for me. And then, you know, I take it and I sell it to you guys. But they're my IP, my intellectual property, as we say in IT.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how we got going with it. And I've been doing it now since 2016. We've got What the Beef. That one is actually what spun off the entire What the product line. So we got What the Beef. Noticed that the sales were trending on that one. It was top seller, and that's how we came up with What the Cluck.
Yeah.
Again, I like the innuendos, I like the jokes, I like the plays that you can have on words when it comes to food. I wanted something with a little bit of heat. Being a Texas boy, I gotta have a spicy something, right?
Right.
Family's favorite cuisine is actually Asian cuisine, so I created my own Chinese 5-spice powder, threw a little bit of heat to it, some habanero, and that's what we did with What the Blaze is. You can find us at grillinggeekspices.com.
Okay.
Yeah, we're set up to ship coast to coast.